All right, gather round, folks, because Uncle Three's got a real humdinger of a story for you today. Uncle Three would like to retell the story from the main character's perspective to make it easier to access the story. This isn't just any ghost story. This is a true family nightmare that hit my own dad, and it's been haunting us for a long, long time. We're talking about a terrifying curse, some real spooky paranormal encounters, and a desperate fight to break a spell. And believe me, it all started with a broken promise that unleashed some seriously dark magic. So here's the scoop. This whole thing kicked off about 26 years ago, way before my mom and dad even tied the knot. I'm 24 now, living in Hoc Mon, but my roots are in Jiang. I heard this wild tale straight from my mom and my paternal grandma. Bless their hearts. Now, picture this. More than 2 decades back, my dad was a young buck, just 27 or 28. And let me tell you, he was a real lucre. Handsome, sang like an angel, a total ladies' man, a regular Casanova, if you will. Then came the call of duty. He joined the army and found himself stationed on the southwestern border, which meant heading over to Cambodia. While he was there, he met this beautiful Cambodian girl. Things, as they often do with a charmer like my dad, got serious. They became, shall we say, intimate. The story doesn't specify if a baby came out of it, but they definitely crossed that line. Everything seemed fine for a while, just normal, you know? But then Dad got the news. He had to go back to Vietnam for officer training. He knew, deep down, this was it. The relationship with the Cambodian girl was over. So on their very last night, he took her out to talk. He laid it out plain. Honey, I gotta go back to Vietnam. I can't stay here with you forever. She was heartbroken, absolutely crushed. But what could she do? There really wasn't another choice. So my dad left her there in Cambodia and came home to Vietnam. And that's when the real craziness started. The minute he got back, things got weird. He came down with this fever that just wouldn't quit, lasted for days. And wouldn't you know it, he was supposed to start officer training in a day or 2, but he was stuck in bed, flat out. His unit even gave him time off to recover. You'd think after the fever broke, he'd be back to normal, right? Nope. After the fever, the real fun began. Epileptic seizures. But not just any seizures. These were timed. Every single night, like clockwork, around 1 or 2 a.m., he'd have an attack. My family had to pull shifts, stay right by his side, terrified he'd bite his tongue. They'd literally stick a chopstick in his mouth and squeeze lemon juice on him to help. These episodes would last about 15 minutes before he'd snap out of it. And it wasn't just nights. During the day, he'd suddenly just faint multiple times a day for about 5 minutes a pop. The kicker? When he woke up, he'd have no idea what just happened. But wait, there's more. It was like he was possessed or something, like a sleepwalker. He'd wake up, burst through the door, and just wander around the village at night. My family would have to chase him down and drag him back home. The freakiest part? He wouldn't even recognize them. He'd just growl, eyes all glazed over, looking totally terrifying. Then, about an hour later, he'd be completely normal. No memory of his midnight stroll. This was all happening before he even met my mom. My paternal grandma, who was from a pretty well-off family in the Mekong Delta, was beside herself. She quickly got my dad up to a hospital in Saigon, hoping the doctors could figure out what in the world was going on. But get this, the moment he was in the hospital, he was totally fine. No fever, no headaches, nothing. He'd be perfectly normal in the hospital, but as soon as he was back home, bam, 5 or 6 seizures a day, fainting left and right. You can imagine trying to get anything done when you're collapsing all the time. The doctors kept saying he was completely normal, which my family just refused to believe. They even kept him in the hospital for 2 or 3 days straight, hoping to catch him in an episode, but he remained perfectly healthy. Since they couldn't just live at the hospital, they tried the psychiatric hospital next. Same story. The doctors there said he showed no signs of mental illness and wondered why he was even there. My grandma wouldn't accept that either, so they tried keeping him there for a few days. Still normal. So back home he went, and back came all the terrifying symptoms. Finally, my grandma was at her wit's end. She knew deep down this wasn't just a physical sickness. This was something spiritual, something supernatural. She started hitting up every traditional healer she could find, traveling far and wide. But nobody, and I mean nobody, could cure him. Fast forward a bit to around 1997 or 1998. My dad got set up with my mom, and they got married. Here's the wild part. My mom had no clue about my dad's strange illness until she was 3 months pregnant with little old me. From that day on, every single night, someone had to keep watch over my dad while he slept. They were so scared he'd have a seizure or faint and bang his head, maybe even, as the years went by, his condition only got worse. My grandma kept looking for healers, and when I was about 10, she actually found a few, but every single one of them flat out refused to help. They all said the same thing. The buoy, that's like a curse or black magic charm, is too strong. We can't handle it. My grandma, bless her heart, even tried doing some rituals herself just blindly, because she didn't even know what she was dealing with. Then, when I was 12, something finally clicked. My family found what they thought would be the last hope. A healer who lived close to my grandma's place. This guy seemed to know something right off the bat, but he told them the Cambodian girl's magic was super potent, brewed by a sorcerer way more powerful than he was. He said he couldn't control it. So what did this healer do? He called upon the spirit of a Khmer sorcerer from Forbidden's Mountain to possess him. Talk about spooky stuff. And through that possessed healer, the truth finally came out. The spirit revealed that my dad, this guy, had once loved a Cambodian girl and made all sorts of promises to her. But in the end, he came back to Vietnam and didn't marry her. When that Cambodian girl realized he was about to leave for good, she was beyond sad. She was furious. So on that very last night, this girl, who, being Cambodian, knew a ton of powerful sorcerers, did something chilling. She secretly cut a lock of my dad's hair, and that same night, she laid down a terrifying curse with an oath. She swore that if he came back to Vietnam and married her, they'd live happily ever after. But if he left that night and married someone else, if his intention was to never come back for her, she would die and she would follow him for the rest of his life. And my dad? He went back to Vietnam and married my mom. He never went back to that girl, so she knew, and that very night she did it. She hanged herself and died. Because she died so suddenly, that vow, that oath, It stuck to her even in the afterlife. The healer said he could only see so much because the sorcerer who made her curse was stronger than him. He couldn't completely undo it, but he offered one last desperate shot. He told them the only way, maybe, just maybe, to break the curse was for my dad and grandma to go back to Cambodia. They had to find that girl's old house, the places they used to hang out. And there they had to pray, beg, and plead with her spirit, hoping she'd finally let my dad go. Otherwise, he'd be cursed for life. So my dad and grandma, without a moment's hesitation, packed up and went to Cambodia to find her. But remember, it had been over a decade, and my dad could only vaguely remember the area, not the exact house. They asked the neighbors, and that's when they got the truly heartbreaking news. The girl had indeed hanged herself in that very house. After her death, her father had actually burned the whole house down and moved the family away over 10 years ago. Talk about a dead end. My dad and grandma came back utterly crushed, their last lead gone. The healer, knowing the girl was gone and untraceable, still did everything he could to help. But he warned them it would only provide some relief, not a full cure, because so much time had passed. He said that if the curse symptoms were still there after 20 years, they'd be with my dad for the rest of his life. And guess what? This year, it's been 26 years. My dad still has those symptoms. So yeah, it looks like he'll be living with this until his dying day. But hey, on the bright side, thanks to that healer, things are a lot better now. Back in the day, he'd faint 5 or 6 times a day. Now it's only 2 or 3. He still convulses and has seizures after fainting. But here's the huge improvement. He actually remembers his family now. And he feels way better after an episode. Unlike before, still, he faints every single day. Now, let's talk about my mom. Even knowing about my dad's condition, they truly loved each other and never fought. They were together for over 2 decades, and I'm their only kid. They tried for more once or twice, but it just never worked out. My mom had miscarriages or ectopic pregnancies. I sometimes wonder if that girl's spirit had something to do with it. And when I was just a month old, oh boy, I was a handful. Happy as a clam during the day, but come nightfall, I'd cry and cry and cry. Newborn screams, you know? It was rough. So my mom went to a healer, and he said, yep, a spirit was messing with me every evening. He gave my mom some special charms to stick on the trees outside our house. He said 15 men and 15 women had to see them for me to stop crying. He also gave me some little strings to wear around my neck. And guess what? After that, I actually started sleeping through the night. It makes you think, right? Did that girl's spirit keep my parents from having more kids? And my poor mom, she kept having these terrifying dreams where the girl would come and scold her. I remember when I was around 14 or 15. We live in Xinjiang, so we had a ton of fruit trees, like tens of thousands of pounds of fruit. We had to hire a bunch of workers to pick it all. Mom was super busy that day, so she asked my grandma to cook for the workers. That night, my mom had a nightmare. She saw the Cambodian girl slowly walk into the room, pin her down, and choke her, screaming, You're the one who stole my husband, and now you're starving me? You won't cook for me anymore, huh? My mom was screaming for her life in the dream, but my dad right next to her was fast asleep. The next morning, she told my grandma, who just nodded and said, "Yeah, she probably came back to scold you for not cooking for her." My dad saw her too in his dreams. He'd often relive the old days, them talking, going out, even, well, their intimate moments. He'd see it all so clearly, so real, never knowing that she had actually died that very night they said goodbye. But thankfully, that healer finally gave my dad some answers about why he was cursed. And because of him, my dad's condition has gotten a lot better, even if it's not completely gone because of how long it's been. The healer also gave my mom charms for the house to stop those bad dreams. So, there you have it. I wanted to share this story to give y'all a glimpse into the world of Cambodian black magic.